Right then. All right. Officially, good evening once again to everyone, to every part of the world. I know some people have logged in from the Gulf, so it's a little early evening for you all. But in India, we are nice setting up at 6 p.m. And for all of you, this is a small group that we slowly had gathered. It was in pandemic when a group of fellow parents like me who were trying alternate schooling got together, and we called ourselves the alternate homeschoolers, the unschoolers. There are many names to it. Today, the tribe has grown to over 590 members in the group. Some of us are lazy like me, so we will not join per se the live sessions, but certainly people want to hear, they watch the recording, and I must thank all the three guests who've come in. Seriously, it's something wonderful, so valuable that you're giving us the time, the expertise, and as I said off air, each one of them are people who just trusted and came here. We haven't met. They don't know how nasty and how much legs I pull around, but they've been kind enough to come. So thank you so much, Madhuri ma'am, Shiv sir, and Pooja ma'am. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. Go
Thank
ahead,
you.
Madhuri. You can say hello to everybody. Yes, just say hello to and
I was just saying that thank you so much for having all of us here. It is great meeting you all parents.
wonderful. We will introduce each of our speakers as we go ahead. Shiv sir, you want to say hello to everybody here?
Yeah, I just wanted to say everyone, good evening everyone, and Daud, thanks very much for putting us all together in this one platform and talking about national education policy.
I hope the conversations flow after this. All of you are part of a same group. If you aren't, just the numbers are here. Drop us a message. They are very friendly people. Ask me, and the work they're doing. Ask about their work. That's the whole way of hiding. Pooja ma'am, hello. I hope you're around.
Yes, please. Hi. Hello, everyone. Good
Thank
evening.
you so much. Good evening. So the flow would be very simple. These are the panelists, two from Mumbai, two from in and around Noida, New Delhi. So we have got a little North India covered, but a lot of participants from South India. In fact, the regional director from Chennai who expressed his inability to come, so he gave his regard and he said he promised to come some other time. So we are almost connected all across. It's a platform where we ask questions, we are authentic, we are ourselves, and that's the whole idea that we started with. This entire conversation started with cards, really. And I'd like to do a basic premise, and then start with all of you. There are too many cards that we're carrying. And the only card I knew valuable in my life was a wedding card. So after 20 years, I'm feeling very happy that somebody agreed to it. But people said one more card. So you have the Aadhaar card, you carry your visas and your MasterCards and your company cards. And then was the launch of this. Okay, I have the jack of all cards, only card I like, but it was the launch of this card, the Apaar card. Raised a lot of questions, skepticism, unsure. While there is somebody from the ministry, the government of India, who agreed to come again, travel schedules, but it led the conversation in the group that how is it? Is it another card, or are we giving too much of data to the government? And with every citizen, it's like, okay, hold on. Are we getting the China model? So I thought, let me speak to some people. I called up some people. I said, what is this card all about? Why are we going crazy about one more card when it should benefit us? And I got some good answers. I thought I'll start the premise with the answers, and today's session is linked to it. A lot of people said, what is this card to do with the holistic learning? And I'll surely, as a homeschooler, as someone working with the NIS, this is very interesting, the conversation around it. So it was launched in the Ministry of Education. And by the way, what was Ministry of HRD is now Ministry of Education. Very good intentions, very noble intentions. And trust me, this, as always with most of the conversations around card, today, I must say Aadhaar card. I don't think we'll win a Nobel Prize for it, but today Brazil has taken India's scheme of Aadhaar card and said, look, we are yet another country with so much many people. We are populous like India. Can we implement the Aadhaar card? So as an Indian, I'm proud of what we're doing. And yes, if you're afraid to give a little data to, your McDonald's have more data than the government of India. Go and get a burger and say, sir, aapka number milega kya? For sending promos you don't need. Just making me fat and my diet plans go haywire. What is the Apaar card? The APAR, the word stands for Automated Permanent Academic Account Registry. I'm sorry for the long word. You can take a screenshot, ask me, I'll share the presentation anyway at the end of it. My presentation is sure to be shared. There's a better conversation around. It's called Academic Performance Assessment and Review Card. Trust me, as a teacher, I was just telling Madhuri ma'am, I get into a lot of questions, answers, full form kya hai iska? What does it mean? What is this card about? Well, in simple word, it is like a health card. Right from your early school, if you're an Anganwadi, if you are in a pre-primary, until your academics, as you keep learning, you keep adding this on. This is what our Apaar card is about. It's basically one nation, one ID. It's a student ID card. This is not a new phenomena. United States have it, and this is wonderful. Today, the launch of this card gives us beautiful. So, how can we become? Schools will be responsible. You'll not be getting surveys. Nobody will come home. I don't represent the government. I don't intend to just say go to bed. What I loved about it, it's a card that enables a student to show the identity that they deserve. There is an academic bank of credit under Government of India. You log in, the school will give you a login provisional number, and the process is pretty simple. You add more credentials, and that's what the card is all about. Now, why do we need this card? Here, this is the only important slide, and when we go back and we'll ask our panelists to talk about it, not on the card, but what makes it important is there's so many fake mark sheets. Like I heard about COVID vaccines. Why would you want a fake COVID when it's your health that you want to protect about? Anyway, not going into questions around it, but it will help students get loans. Big deal. You want to go to Australia tomorrow. You want to go and study in Canada. This is a card that is one card. And for us, for the homeschoolers, for the NIOS, for people in alternate schooling, this card keeps a credit score of multiple things. We have a concept called the OBE in NIOS, Open Basic Education. There's a session on that we spoke about. This is an exam you do as a private candidate at level 3, level 5, level 8. It is very similar to the checkpoints of Cambridge. With the Apaar card, NIS is forced to give registration numbers, and OBE will be valuable, which today it may not be so valuable. Schools don't recognize OBE. So a big plus point. Number 2, you going out, you're going to one varsity under Shiv sir and saying, hold on, I want to do a fantastic course. What's the credit for the course? Apaar card will give you credit. You do an SDG program. We love SDGs in Golden Sparrow. You do a coding program from Whitehead Juniors. Baiju is not a very nice word to talk in education circles today, but all of these will make sense. You will be recognized for a Toastmasters certificate. It gives you academic flexibility. It allows students to choose parts of their own learning. You want to do psychology? Brilliant. Tell us how you've done the psychology before. A Coursera case, a Udemy course will all add up to this card. This is what it is. In short, it's an education LinkedIn for our students. You have this DigiLockers. I don't know how many of you have enhanced or enabled DigiLockers. Aaj hi kijiye. Log out of this session, it's okay. But these are valuable programs. Kal hamare yahan Bombay mein police pakadti, you open a DigiLocker, by the time it takes loading, it jao. And that's one advantage of it. They don't want to see a DigiLocker. If you're traveling, what is that? The portal, I'm so sorry, I have downloaded it. The travel portal where you face scan it. Is it Travel Yatra?
DigiYatra, that's
DigiYatra. Thank you so much, Pooja ma'am. Now you know who's flying very often and who's carrying all the air miles here. Do a DigiYatra, make your life easier. This card is a combination of digital locker and your LinkedIn. Of course, we'll have somebody represent all your tough questions, be questioned by you to the panel from the ministry. But as of now, it's a wonderful innovation. We value it. And why do we value it? It's under the NEP. NEP says it's not just what you scored in maths and science and English that matters. It also says, is the topic of today, your holistic learning. NEP really showed us if some of my friends had to just get married on their mark sheets for 10, they'll not get married at all. Trust me, now NEP says holistic learning, it's okay if you are doing Boy Scout outside. It's okay if you're just learning Scratch or coding. It's okay if you're smart with money on share market. This is what Apaar has done. It has opened the platform, which is the word we call the holistic learning. And this is why today's session says NEP and holistic learning. A little sneak preview on the Apaar card. That's about it. We'll open the forum now for our panelists to come in and speak more on what we want to do around it. And hopefully, this was a little bit of preview. Some of you may not have heard it. Quickly, is it good enough? Are we good to go? Can I have a thumbs up, raise hands, anything? Not taking any questions right now, but a quick one will be wonderful. Perfect. So we are good. Most of us are happy what we are taking forward. Fair enough. So let's quickly go to our panel now. And this is a brilliant panel we've got. Let me just my first panelist, and as I call the panelists, I would love to have all of you. Thank you so much. It's self validation to see some thumbs up coming my way. Can I quickly request Pooja ma'am to come on screen and say hello? This is the first panelist we've got. Pooja Malik ma'am is. I've just seen an article by her on LinkedIn. Very impressive, wonderful article. And what I found out was so beautifully, succinctly written. She is a director growth. She's worked as a business advisor. She's been, talking about national education policy, and she resides in Delhi. In that case, ma'am, welcome to the dais, and the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, David. I hope I'm audible, right?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible, and you can share your screen, or if you want, I can share it for you.
Yes, I guess if you can share the screen, please.
Give me a minute, ma'am. I'll just open up. Ma'am, I'd love you to introduce yourself further.
Sure,
as I said, these are LinkedIn connects, most of my friends here, but thank you so much for the trust and coming on board today.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving us this platform. So quick brief about myself. I've been working for about 28 years now, and all my life I've done corporate. I've worked different industries, banking, hospitality. I've been with education. I'm working very, very closely with startups now. I'm helping them expand business, take them to the next level. And of course, in education, I've done higher education and K-12 both. Why I'm giving you this background is because I have in K-12, I've worked very, very closely with schools, and not only in India, outside of India also. And I would say the life that we were leading and the life that kids are leading today is way, way difficult, And the reason being because every second day there is something new, some comes up, and they have to, cope up with those technologies, and there is some, something gets evolved and everything. For them to, set that pace and to understand, though this generation kids are super smart, but then they have to be on pace with, whatever new technologies are coming, whatever new gadgets are coming. And I guess I would be thankful that this NEP policy is there, because that's where these kids are going to, match the pace of what we are doing today. Okay, that's about me. I would like to start with one quote, which is my favorite quote, and I put that everywhere, which is, we want the education by which character is formed, strength of mind is increased, and the intellect is expanded, and by which one can stand on one's own feet. That's by Swami Vivekanand. And that's not written today, it's written years back. Just imagine NEP was nowhere in picture. But that's what he says, that, our kids have to be smart enough. We have to be on the pace what we are today. So that's what it is. NEP, first of all, I'm sure a lot of you must be thinking, why is NEP needed? I mean, because life is going good. Why do we even need this policy? So the purpose is because we want to be the power hub, of the universe. We want to be globally the power hub. It's not only that, we have, suppose the phones are, Apple is making phones in India, and, we have new industries coming up. Our students, who are kids, who are the future generation, who are the leaders of tomorrow, they have to be equipped enough to really, cope up with every situation. And that's where we need to, get away with the rote learning, which is memorization, which we did all our lives. Life was much easy because there were 5 subjects. We used to memorize them, go give the exams and score, somebody will score 50%, somebody will score 95%, but life was still easier. Today, when we have kids going, and, there are so many new skills coming in, and kids don't know how to cope up with those. So of course, not every kid is a gifted child. So you have kids who have their understanding is little lower also. And but when we introduced NEP, one thing which I love about this policy is adding 12 skills which were never there before. Now, when we are introducing these skills, which means we are opening so many doors for these kids. It's not only English, math, science, and you become an engineer or you become a doctor. There are so many new opportunities that these kids have. Which means they can choose a career path which they want, and then they can decide what they want to do. So there is a whole world which they, and tomorrow it's not that these kids have to go outside and do the they have to compete with the real world. So to compete with the real world, we need to give them this knowledge so that they are equipped enough to handle the situations they will face in the coming times. Now, effects of NEP policy. So it's a skill-based education fostering critical thinking, and there are actually there are 12 skills which have been introduced, and I'm sure everybody will have this list, and our rest of our panelists are going to talk about it in detail also. So I will leave it to for them to speak, and then it gives you an equal opportunity for diverse learning, emphasis much on the local language, which wasn't there earlier. It was only English or Hindi, and where kids used to struggle a lot of times. And now the regional languages coming in, thanks to NEP. Kids, I think the kind of confidence these kids are going to have is much higher than what they used to have earlier now. Then, of course, focus is going to be on the teacher training also, because we have seen it as an example. When COVID was there, before COVID, I guess many teachers would not know, how to come on live platforms and teach the classes. Now they understand that. So we need to ensure before these situations, crisis come, we are equipped. We are equipping our teachers. They are trained enough to deal with any kind of situation, so that there is a quality coming from our teachers also, and what is getting on to our students also. So that's there. Then broad changes, if we have to talk about, shift towards the curriculum alignment, then regional language, as I mentioned earlier also. Then integrating the technology part, which is very, very important today. Whatever we do, every kid, even a nursery class kid, would have a mobile phone, smartphone in hand, and more than us, they would know how to use it. Some functionalities we would also not know. So these functions. So sometimes I'm sure parents get irritated also. Why is their phone every time in their hand? But sometimes we don't realize they're learning a lot of things also. Yes, of course, there has to be a control over everything. But adding technology where you have different skills added to NEP anyways is, that's making a lot of value for these students. Then bridging the gap between the academic and practical knowledge. So one is what you're learning, that we call it a bookish knowledge, and one is what you really do outside when you are in the real world. So there is a way different. That's why we said just not the rote learning, it has to be the practical way of learning also, which is very, very important. And kindergartens and the nursery classes today are actually teaching you with a practical way of learning. And that's how I've seen kids learn faster than just giving them a book and tell them that I'll come and listen, ask you questions after 10 minutes. So yeah, that's what they've been doing. And significant change that has happened is from earlier we used to have that 10+2 education. Now from that it has moved to 5+3+3+4, which means they have structured, they have actually those 12 13 years have been actually segregated, where initial few years you will only have learning while you play, and then you focus on your subjects that you want to choose, and then you focus on the skills that you want to add, and then the final time to hit the market when you have to face the real world. So it's like, in a proper way, we're preparing these kids for all those ladders they have to cross. So that is why it's been segregated, and that's where this 5+3+3+4 has been structured now. And yeah, and there is a segregation in case. Can we go to the next slide also? Yes, please. So initial 5 years is the foundation that we say. Then next 3 years is preparatory stage where you kind of decide what you want to do, the skills you want to acquire. Then next 3 years is your middle stage where it's subject choosing and all of that. And last 4 years is when you are getting ready to hit the real world. And that's how it's been segregated now. Yeah, so and this is what the segregation is all about. uh, if you want to talk about the primary, the initial 5 years, then there is engagement, play, you learn while you play. And then next 3 years is comprehensive teaching approach with integrated learning. Move away from steer away from the rote learning method to a conventional the learning way. Then the middle 3 years, which is your middle age, so to say, then that's where we are introducing them with the hands-on knowledge, the kind of skills they are acquiring, and we give them experience on that and all of that. Then last 4 years is when you are getting ready to hit the real world. And so you choose your path. You have to go for your higher education. You want to start doing some vocational courses. That's where you get ready for that. Yeah, so that's what the NEP is. So I mean, I thought briefly, because I am not from the teaching background, but I thought I should definitely talk about it, because when I see students, when I go to schools, I guess it really helps. When we are introducing, and a lot of schools have also introduced it 100%, and we see a sea change in the confidence in the kids that they are using. They're already part of NEP policy. Yeah, so that's about it.
Thank you so much, Pooja, ma'am. Very crisp, very succinct. And as we just started with the Apaar card and the idea of holistic learning, when this was launched, I was talking to a group of students. They said it looks more like a football formation, 3+4+4+3. And I know the way the world works it. NEP talks about critical thinking. NEP talks about learning skills that we haven't learned so far. And we cannot let panelists leave without asking them some critical thinking question. Ma'am, this was not part of the plan, I know. Now the other panelists are already ready. We'll open the floor for other panelists, but a quickly questions to you, ma'am. Easy ones. So, Pooja, ma'am, without any preparation, that's for others too. She has no idea. If there was one subject, let's start the easy one, that you wish could be removed from today's curriculum and one to be replaced with, which subject would you remove and which subject would you replace it with?
You asking my personal choice would be a wrong answer, but I think otherwise, the history subject, which I guess we're not even using after we've done our, 9th, 10th, we don't even read those books ever again. But, if we are taught again the same subject in a different way, in a more playful way, the kids would still remember history also. Today, a person like me would not even remember half of the history topics.
Oh, very nice, ma'am. By the way, my wife loves history. She loves old things. She loves me. Right? We just celebrate Valentine. Okay.
Lovely.
Quick. One app you cannot do without.
Oh, one app we can't do without. Could be a social media app also.
Yeah, any app on your mobile phone.
For professionals, it's LinkedIn. For students, I would say Instagram. They can't do without it.
All right. Quickly, another. Ma'am, what would be your go-to movie and why? Donkey or Animal?
Oh, that's a tough one. I guess Donkey.
Okay. I think Animal sounds are better.
Too much of violence, but Donkey, I would still say.
Last one out here. Please tell us one good thing about Mumbai over Delhi. Critical thinking question. ये दिल्ली वाले से पूछने को मजा आता है.
Oops. That's not fair to ask this question. But personally, I'm very fond of Mumbai. The pace at which that city runs is you can't beat that pace. Even Delhi can't. So the fast-paced moving life that you have there, I love that.
Okay, so I think between Delhi and Mumbai fight, Pune wins. I love Pune for that matter, and I love some of the people have joined in from Pune.
I like Hyderabad more nowadays.
Nice.
Yes.
This is what NEP has done. Open a lot of conversation. Thank you once again, Pooja, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Lovely presentation.
Thank you for having me.
Please, she'll be around, and hopefully you can connect on LinkedIn, all of us on LinkedIn, by the way, and that's the whole way, the format of it. Next, I would like to bring our next panelist. and that's this wonderful young, energetic entrepreneur, Shiv Agarwal. Shiv is the founder of One Varsity. It's actually the first academic network platform. A lot of work on the financial side. And when I spoke to him, he said, "This is what I love to speak." I said, "Who doesn't love money, Shiv?" So the floor is yours. Thank you so much. We are keen to hear you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dao, for this wonderful introduction. And Pooja ma'am, your presentation was really lovely. You touched the most important points of NEP, which is the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, one of the very important factor in NEP. Because till now, what we were following is 10 plus 2. And we were completely ignoring the first 3 years of the schooling, where the basic of any human being is structure. That is the core age of for someone to develop their IQ, to build whatever their interests are and all those things. So, like Dr. Dawud has mentioned, that the finance that what we discussed in our initial call, and I would definitely jump into that. Just before that, I would like to highlight one more important point on NEP, that why this NEP is actually required when it was actually launched by the government of India. So I just want to touch base that the education system that we were following was introduced by Britishers in late 18th century, and that policy, the education system which was introduced by Britishers, it is because they so that they can rule India for many more years, because they want Indians to stop thinking and start acting as an employee, as a slave, so that they wanted Indians to follow what Britishers or their masters are saying, and they start producing their energy into that thing. As a result, because this is what my personal view, and I'm completely attached to it, we talk about all these big companies, especially the FANG companies, Facebook, Netflix, Amazon, Google, Microsoft. None of these companies were, or any of these companies were not formed in India. You talk about one of the largest social media company, you talk about one of the largest IT company, you talk about one of the largest airline company, you talk about one of the largest manufacturing company, one of the largest automobile manufacturing company. All of these comes from primarily from US or from the West, Europe. None of them was formed in India, but many of these companies are now run by Indians. Sundar Pichai, one of the Indian IIT graduates, Satya Nadella. I know he's now American, but many of these companies, including Indra Nooyi, who was running PepsiCo, Mastercard chief, and all of these people are Indians and running these companies, but these companies were not formed in India. That is the reason this national education policy was introduced, that if India wants to be the world leader, we need more startups, we need more companies who can compete with the world. And the startups, one lakh, we have more than 100,000 startups in India now who are registered with DPIIT, and we are the third largest unicorn producing country in the world. However, as a percentage of fraction, it is still very small. Sorry, Dr. Raut, I just digressed from what our topic should be. Coming back to the finance, uh, right from our childhood, in fact, these days also, many of us want our kids to be doctor, engineer. Many business families want their kids to join their businesses. But one thing which is ignored in the entire education system, not only the school system, but also into the higher education, is the knowledge of finance. In fact, my professor who used to be, during my college days, my professor who used to be a veteran of New York Stock Exchange, he used to quote a very beautiful line that knowledge of finance in India is very poor. And the numbers also speaks about it. Less than 5%, around 5% population in India own insurance. Less than 5% of Indians actually subscribe to mutual funds or invest directly into the equity market. There are many doctors. There are millions of doctors, millions of engineers, millions of chartered accountants, millions of teachers who are earning more than a lakh. There are more than a million people who earn more than a lakh in a monthly income. Ma- How many of us how many of us actually do a financial planning for us, and how many of us actually teaches to our students, our kids, that financial planning is important? And that is the reason, even if we earn in millions, even if we earn in a lakh a month at the age of 25, the grown-up kid who started earning a lakh a month is actually not planning his finance at all. Wealth creation is not about, sorry, I think we got a question. Board game to encourage financial planning among children. Board games, definitely, we should have, I mean, not just a board game, in fact, there are many more games as well. However, how much importance are we paying to those things is the key. Financial literacy cannot just come from the school. It has to come from the surroundings, which includes the home, which includes the friends, which includes our parents, that how much we are teaching our students, our kids, about the financial goals and financial discipline and the financial planning. What Warren Buffett, I mean, well, all of us know about Warren Buffett, and he used to quote one very beautiful line that compounding is the key to success in the financial world. Many of us goes ahead with fixed deposits, RDs, and all those things because the time when fixed deposits and RDs were started, India was not that rich, and having 8, 9, 10% of interest rate that point of time is good, and that is why we as a generation was taught by our parents to invest in RDs and FDs because that was the success financial instrument that point of time. They did not teach taught us about equity or mutual funds because in 1980s there was not even SEBI was not even there. Today, mutual funds and equity market is the thing where you can actually uh, build your assets, build your wealth, and we need to teach our kids about that thing. Financial discipline does not only come with the investment; it also as I said, every penny saved is an income. That's right. But if you are just saving and the inflation is 5%, and if you are not getting 5% on your saving, you are actually getting poor. So it is important to also earn more than 5% on what you are saving just to be at par with the inflation. NEP, including in the higher education as well as in the school level, is talking about these holistic learning, which includes the financial discipline and financial learning as well. I am sure that after this implementation, while this is still not implemented everywhere in all of the schools across the country, I'm sure when this will implemented, many parents, many students would like to learn this financial discipline and the financial literacy, and this will definitely change the landscape of the country as a whole, as well as for an
because if they will because they will keep on if they will stay invested and if they
keep a track on their financials, they will certainly it will certainly make them responsible towards their not their own personal goals with regard to the finance. They will also become a disciplined member towards the society, and eventually at some point of time, because no one knows what happens in the future, if some tragedy happens, their family should not become the dependent to the government or to the society. That level of financial, and it's a hard but it's a hard truth, that level of financial discipline is required to teach to these young kids. So I just want to keep this short on this, and happy to take any questions with regard to financial discipline or with regard to a national education policy, how this will how this will change the landscape with regard to financial literacy.
Right. Thank you so much, Shiv, and very crisp, very nice. Love the way you presented the idea. And yes, Sachin sir, what you asked question, we'll take questions at the end of it. But absolutely, I mean, Monopoly is only place I was a millionaire in. So please play those games. At least thoda acha to lagega. We feel rich. But I'm a big proponent of board games. We actually have in Golden Sparrow, the academy, a day dedicated only to play, from Scrabble to Battleship to Monopoly, and then multiple games around. So yes, and Awatif ma'am, thank you so much. It's always about starting with the piggy banks. Shiv sir, go ahead. I mean, there's an expert here.
Just one thing. Actually, I also missed that point with regard to board games. My personal view is if the kid is more than 15 years old, many of the kids are getting pocket money. Just get him a demat account and start asking him to invest 1,000 rupees, 500 rupees monthly on any share, directly shares and not the mutual fund.
Wonderful. I
At the
mean,
end of the month, just ask two questions from him: which share he has bought and why, which share he did not bought and why. The share he is not buying is the key of learning.
oh, this is nice. So Shiv sir, now my quick questions to you before we go to our final panelist here. Of course,
Yeah,
sir, tell me between Paytm and Baidu, which share should I buy?
no one. However, if the Paytm a little stabilizes, then definitely Paytm.
Fantastic.
Right now, no one.
I think yes. But quickly, sir, Mukesh Ambani of Jeff Bezos. Which other two rich men would you emulate?
I am a great fan of both, but now since you are giving the choice, Mukesh Ambani is Indian, so Mukesh Ambani.
So we are invited to Antilla very soon.
Thank you.
So one book on finances that you will recommend to the audience here.
Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki.
Oh, that's the
It's more,
standard book.
it's less
I
on
would
finance, more on entrepreneurship.
lovely. I would have thought you would have said checkbook, but it's okay. Rich Dad is a wonderful book. Uh, so, what age should we start financial literacy in schools?
From class fifth. I don't know what would be the age, but from class fifth.
Okay,
Should
fair enough.
not be after class fifth.
Lovely. And last question, sir. What would I find more being used on your mobile phone, Spotify or Swiggy?
None.
Oh, I can see a health freak out there. पैसे इसलिए बचाते हैं ये सब फाइनेंस वाले ऐसे ही करते हैं, right? But
Uh,
thank you.
Zerodha and HDFC Securities are most used
His
in my opinion.
go-to app is Nikhil Kamath Zerodha. Please, I love, sir. I think just taking the occasion, I am a big fan of the podcast WTF by Nikhil Kamath. Don't go by the name. It's a very long podcast, but he gets people from influencers, climate activists, edtechs, EVs. If you were listening to this podcast, you're already a very intelligent person.
What
Anyway,
is the
this
name?
so it's WTF with Nikhil Kamath, and you can decode it. But
Okay.
for some reason, Nikhil. I would like to introduce my final panelist. It's the wonderful, the outdoor enthusiastic, the educator, and the founder of the Forest School. It's Madhuri Shinde from our very own Thane, Mumbai. Thank you so much, Madhuri ma'am, for joining in, agreeing to it. And before anybody, decides, to leave, she is a fantastic rifle shooter. Be aware, the floor is yours, Madhuri ma'am.
Oh, thank you so much for the lovely introduction, sir. I'll be apologizing first only because I am in a place where there is a lot of background noise. If you get interrupted, please let me know. I'll try to do something and get back to the slides that we are going through. I won't introduce myself because my slides will introduce what I am doing, what is happening, and everything. So I am so happy that most of the points are covered by Pooja ma'am and Shiv sir regarding NEP. I will just give you a little thing on what are the applications of NEP. How can we apply NEP in our day-to-day life? So let's begin with our first slide. So you can see there's a logo, the Forest School. That's my baby. So I'll show you how the Forest School was made from the scratch. So let's begin with the first slide. This was my goal in around 2014-15. When I passed out from my standard 12, I had a goal in my mind that I wanted to be an Indian Army officer. So yes, I was very enthusiastic. I was very outgoing and all those things. And yes, this was the goal. Next slide, please. So what did I do to achieve this goal? What are the things that I do to achieve this goal? So I took science as my mainstream after my grade 10, completed my graduation in BSc as physics as my major subject, then took NCC as a co-curricular activity, took rifle shooting as a sport and played till nationals. I won a bronze medal in nationals in a GB Maulanka shooting championship. and this is all I did in 3 to 4 years of my career then, from 2015 to around 2018 and 19. So I was very sure that I am going to get into Indian Army. I am going to wear that uniform and I'm going to serve the country. But what happened was, next slide please, the failure came in. So I was just knocked down by the failure. I gave all my attempts that I wanted to give into Indian Army. There's an interview called as SSP interview. And there were, I guess, 8 attempts that were allocated to me till the age of 24. I gave all my attempts. I tried 100% of things. I did everything. But what happened was the failure came in. So what to do after that? I was not getting the path. I was not understanding so many years of my career I have put into this. I have studied according to the career, according to the goal that I had to. I have done all the things that were in that were such that I should achieve my goal. But the goal was not achieved. The failure came in. There was a roadblock. So what to do after that? What to do after that? And then there was a COVID period, and uh, everything happened. But today, this day, I'm doing all these things. I'm doing first aid workshop for corporates. I'm doing first aid workshops for teachers in the schools, students in the schools. The Forest School is a learning and development organization. We take children outside, do learning life skill development activities with them, and all those things. But how did this happen? Next slide, please. So these are the few associations that I work with. DSB International is one of the biggest school that I work with in Mumbai. And there is Naha International School, Auxilium Convent High School, and yes, you can see all those logos. Next slide. How did this happen? So this is a story. So after that, during my NCC, during my Indian Army training, I had two mentors, Captain Tanuja Kavre. She is the founder of Kausidi Pathshala, and Omkar Khala. He is a co-founder of Forest School, and he also has his market research business across. So they were two who encouraged me to participate in their startups and be as a national level rifle shooter. I used to be an instructor and teach children in the camps and go for lead the treks to all the outdoor activities that I always used to love to do it. And NCC gave me a skill of working in a team, like skill of working in a team, communicating, doing all the things that an individual as a team should do. So in during the workshops or during the camps, I learned how to communicate with children, how to understand their point of view, how to put my point of view ahead, how to. So this all life skills were generated during those years of learning and during those years of failures also. So how is this connected to anything? Next slide, please. So how is this connected to NEP? So NEP is whatever I did. NEP is totally connected to what my career was. It is just a replica of what I learned during my day. So in NEP, the NEP comes across all the schools and colleges and all the educational institutes in Mumbai or in India. So we can have a choice of choosing our career. So for me, choosing physics was the worst option that I had did, because in today's world or today's my business or my work, I don't use physics at all. Never. I've never used it till date. But I don't know how am I going to use it ahead or not. But yes, if I had a choice, if NEP was there, then I must have chosen a career where this entrepreneurship skills were taught, the financial skills were taught, the communication skills were taught, and that would be a great option to me to be chosen as a career option. So yes, NEP has, you can see the points that all points has been mentioned by Pooja ma'am in the previous slides also. So all the skills are related to are not gone waste, but yes, if the skills were there, if the skills were taught to me in the school or in the higher education section, I must have bought the forest school earlier. Now the forest school is just a year old, which means it has just begun, and I am trying to pull it across. But yes, if NEP was mentioned earlier, NEP came earlier, my career would have been different. So this is a very good point of NEP, that NEP is trying to give learners the option to choose their career path and also go outdoors, stay outdoors, get a hands-on experience on the things that you like to learn. Also, I'd like to mention one point that NEP also has this part where you can, if you want to be, for example, if I want to be an entrepreneur, it is a vocational study. If I want to be an entrepreneur, there is a bagless session where you can go with an entrepreneur, learn what to do, how to do, how to start a company, where to register things, how to file an ITR, everything which is not taught in the school, and you can have a base of entrepreneurship before even starting your own company. So this is not only related to entrepreneurs. If you want to be a dancer, if you want to be a certified coach, if you want to be anything, you can just have from grade 6 to grade 8, you can just go out, you can accompany the people around and be whatever you want to do as a and choose a career that you are interested in, and not just because you have to be a graduate from a mainstream or a postgraduate from a mainstream, but yes, you can choose the career that you want to be, and you are willing to continue it ahead till you be successful. Next slide, please. Thank you so much. That was a short story about the forest school and the application of national education policy.
Thank you so much, Madhuri ma'am. Very nice. And don't worry, we are in Mumbai. I did my MBA in local train, so the noise didn't disturb us. So you were a little concerned. I could see that. We will share the presentation if the panelists are okay with what you've shared. It's an amazing thing. Reach out to Shiv, reach out to Madhuri, reach out to Pooja ma'am, because the work they do is so diverse, so wonderful. And of course, Madhuri ma'am, we can't leave you without asking a quick critical thinking question. So hope you're prepared for that, and then we'll open the floor. Okay, so very quickly, easy one. You're an outdoor person, so very quickly, beach or mountain? Beach person or
Mountain.
mountain? Mountains. Oh, she's going to Shimla. Nainital aa rahe hain, sir. आप लोग और मैम आपके पास आ रही है ये. गोवा नहीं जाएंगे. This is nice. If there was one sport that we could introduce for girls in school, what would you choose? Boxing or wrestling?
Wrestling.
अच्छा, दंगल वाली है. She is the Fogart family.
I'll tell you a short story
Please, ma'am.
regarding wrestling. Do you know who is Khashaba Jadhav? Any
Okay,
idea?
please
Anyone?
take it. Oh, this is
Anyone?
interesting. Khasaba Jadhav. Anyone? Wow.
Any, he is the first Olympian of India. He brought the first Olympic bronze medal to India, and he is my great grandfather. So
Oh,
yeah,
this is.
so very connected to wrestling.
I love that answer. This is a hidden gem that we've got. So now I have no questions to ask you. But okay, you wanted to be an army person. So if you had to choose between Sher Shah and Fighter, what movie would you choose?
Yes,
Acha, so no, we were talking about Hrithik Roshan and what's the other guy?
not about the actors, but about the story. Yes,
Okay, lovely. Last thing, what did you shop on Amazon last, ma'am?
a book.
Oh, this is okay. A rifle shooter choosing a book, which is interesting. Thank you so much, Madhuri, ma'am. Very crisp, very fantastic. I will open the floor to what we do, and just take 5 minutes of what we have been doing. I enjoy these conversations. There's so much that we learn, and really, what you just shared about your grandfather, it is absolutely amazing. Please put your questions. You can unmute and ask your questions for the panelists. And before I go to the panelists with quick 5 questions, we are very particular. School wala we'll finish in 10 minutes time. For the next 5 minutes, I want to share this idea of why and what we do. So in the pandemic, when a lot of conversations started happening around NEP, a lot of questions happened around, what we do, alternate schooling. I had this epiphany when I watched this movie called The Dasvi. If you've not watched lovely movie, it's as good as 12th fail if people. So Amitabh Bachchan, Abhishek Bachchan writes his 10th exam. And I realized that this is exactly the same way his father, the big B, the legend Amitabh Bachchan wrote in 1970s. My daughter was incidentally writing a 10 during the COVID time, and I realized कुछ बदला नहीं है. जिस तरह all those lovely things about critical thinking, communication, she's writing the 10th exam the same way I wrote my 10th exam in the late 90s. I'm not very old though. So it led me to think, what have we changed? Until I went to IIT Delhi, I was doing some panel discussion, and I meet this amazing, amazing gentleman, Shri Sonam Wangchuk. He is the original Funsuk Wangru of the Three Idiot. दिस वॉज द ओनली टाइम आई लव स्पाइस जेट. मेरी फ्लाइट 3 घंटे लेट थी, हम लोग दोनों बॉम्बे फ्लाई कर रहे थे, एंड आई एट सोनम सस ब्रेन. आई सेड, सर मैंने मेरा डायरेक्टर पोजीशन इन स्कूल, आई लेफ्ट इट, कैन आई कम टू लद्दाख एंड स्पेंड सम टाइम विद यू? And Sonam sir said, go back to where your heart belongs, where your daughters are, and start something. This, my friends, was the start of a small program, the Sone Ki Chidiya Golden Sparrow. It is today an academy in physical place in Navi Mumbai, and also a full-fledged K-12 school in Nerul. What I love doing is, this is what we believe. The model that we're presenting, and this is what NEP has said, is what I believe the next 10 years or next 5 years will have a hybrid model. We'll go online where there's monsoon, or when there's fog in Delhi, or when there's a pollution somewhere else, or there's a strike, and we'll still continue to learn. Learning will not stop in spite or despite of schools. This is the whole idea I learned from. So online we had master chefs, we have science classes, there's an English program on extempo, read aloud. I love a program called the Dear. Drop everything and read. And wherever you are, irrespective of which school, academic institution, unschool you do, please make sure that today reading is an endangered part. Be part proud. And I love what she said, buy books. Even if you don't read, kids want to see books around. Kids want to see you with the books, and they'll read. Online we had some amazing people. This is my friend Misbah, who was at Kala Ghoda the other day doing a storytelling. We had guests coming in, we had CEOs, we had a Mexican come in and speak to the kids. And then there's online program. You use Kahoot, Menti. Golden Sparrow is a partner with Google for education. So you see, we are all on Google, from Drives to Meets to Google Classrooms. But the idea of this was, can we reach out to students? And one of my biggest success post-pandemic has been understanding that boards are only milestone, not destination. I mean, this is not about Golden Sparrow. It's about that sometimes we don't choose the alternative because we're afraid that CBSE नहीं करेंगे तो वो 3 Idiot ने बोलते हैं ना, कपूर जी क्या कहेंगे. I think don't worry about your neighbors and your relatives. No, there's not the Kapoors, that family, but pre-prepare to understand. I am a big proponent of NIOS, the National Institute of Open Schooling, which has gained wings under the NEP. And these are some of the testimonials. These are students, COVID year students doing NIOS grade 10, came from very wonderful CBSE schools. They chose to study. This girl is in Sydenham. She's going to London for forensic expert. These boys are in Dubai. There are students in Ahmedabad. There are students in Bangalore. They are doing amazing. NIS is just one of the many boards. I met some amazing people. Manish Freeman in Pune, Urmila ma'am, she's here, Joyce ma'am, Christina, she's asked them for help, reach out, and that's what I mean. I don't shy away from learning. I make mistakes, I learn. NIS was tough to understand, crack, but this is what we do in Golden Sparrow. Choose different, be different. And I think all the 3 panelists told us, do not be afraid. One is a speaker in a one veracity. They're doing some financial literacy. Pooja ma'am is doing a lot of business coaching. You have got Madhuri talking about the forest school. Oh my goodness, Bombay mein reh ke forest. Well, she must be doing something incredible, and that's what happens. On Republic Day, we get a lot of guests coming in. Teach for India, Shark Tank. We've been representing there. This is the principal with all the. She's the Mother India, I call her. And then there are movie days called the Popcorn Nights. One last thing. We watched this movie called The Elephant Whisperer. We got a conservationist. We drew the elephants, and there's some elephant, orphaned elephant farms in India, or Elephantistica in Jaipur. And jab usko movie ko Oscar mila, these kids come and say that, because we watched it, the movie got an Oscar. And I don't mind people taking credit for it, but this is what we do in Golden Sparrow. We are loving to spread the wings. We love to share the idea. And I think all of us, this is what we shared. Hello to Joyce ma'am, the principal of Golden Sparrows. She's a wonderful lady here. Good evening, ma'am. How are you doing?
Good evening, everybody. I'm doing good.
And they say the proof of the pudding is in eating it. Her son is an online schooler. So this is where we believe the work goes. Thank you, everybody. We'll quickly open the floor. As I said, next 5 minutes for the lovely panelists. We can take one question each for the panelists, and anyone can choose to answer. Please go ahead, use your chat. Pooja ma'am, there was a question on board game. You want to attempt that as well? Shiv did some answer on it. Anything around that? Please go ahead. Could you unmute all the
I
panel?
think I missed that question. Is it on the
So,
chat right now?
correct. So there was a question that do board games encourage? The question from Sachin Sharma was financial, but I say do board
Yes.
games
Okay.
encourage thinking skills?
Of course, I mean they do. Board games are equally important. Wherever you're using your brain, you are kind of thinking. You're using your mind where to utilize it. So it's. I think board games are equally good for that.
Right. I'm getting a PM, a private question, which says, "Does will NEP change the board exams?" Anyone would like to attempt that? A little deep question. So if it's okay, we can
So
skip it. We can
I
other
think
guy.
I can no, I can answer. There is one change which is already there. The board exams used to happen once a year. Now it's going to happen twice a year. So that change is already there, and I'm sure there'll be many more changes coming in.
True.
Yeah.
The execution also says that there'll be no 10th. India is a large country. All of us should understand what happens in urban India will not happen in tier 1 and tier 2 cities. So these changes will take over a period of time. It will not happen like tomorrow or next year. But as ma'am said, there will be a different process. But yes, that's going to happen. The board exams are twice. Okay, there is a question about the Apaar card. Do homeschoolers get Apaar card? How does it impact homeschoolers? Probably I'll take up this question because I've been studying this topic and the panelists can. So yes, ma'am, the Apaar card is like Aadhaar card. Irrespective, everybody will have to identify. This is why the NIS has a team of directors which said OBE exams will become probably a bit more important than they are today. So the card is not just for your school students. Apaar card is your academic institution, and India as a country is proud of its Anganwadis, of its Gurukuls, where you don't have a UDICE number for a school. So yes, the government is suggesting that Apaar is for everybody. Gonika ma'am, the process of applying Apaar card will have a full session, but there is a website. You go into the academic website. It's also you can Google apar.in and the process starts with a provisional number, a 12-digit provisional number. That's about it. Asma ma'am is asking a question. I'll open the floor for the panelists. How does NEP exactly affect the homeschoolers? Are we too optimistic? Are we too worried? Any suggestions? Should we be worried? Should we be happy about it? Shiv sir, Madhuri ma'am? Generally, your
Uh,
perspective.
I guess you should be very optimistic regarding this. Yeah, very optimistic because so if now there are boards, CBSE board, ICSE board, state board, this board, that board. Now, when the NEP will be applied throughout the schools, will be all connected to the center. All the syllabus will be same. Everything will be on the same page. Every board, every school will be on the same page. So yes, we have to be optimistic.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Shiv sir, wanted your thoughts?
So, yes, in addition to this, in our school days, there has to be co-curricular activity, curricular activity, extracurricular activity. And parents used to push their students to participate in annual events, annual sports, and very few students used to participate. I am one of those who never participated, frankly speaking. All of this will become a curricular activity now. So a student who is good in science may also be taking participation in dancing or in gardening or in cricket or any other activity. But all of this is nothing is extracurricular or co-curricular, as everything is curricular activity. So you don't need to
Absolutely.
push your students to also participate in sports or someone who is always participating in sports but weak in study. You don't need to worry about that how he will clear his board exams because everything is the course now.
Exactly, sir.
It is a good sign.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. So
Also,
I always used to. Okay, sorry, ma'am.
sorry.
Yeah,
Please
I
continue.
always used to participate in sports, dances, all the extracurricular activities, and I was very average into studies. So my parents were a bit worried about how am I going to score, how am I going to give my boards and all. But yes, after NEP, I think students will not have that pressure on them that they should not do what they like. So yes, the optimistic part is there.
So
Pooja
true.
ma'am, please continue.
Yes, no, no, absolutely. Pooja ma'am, your thoughts?
So one very important thing which I think we should all keep it in mind is that NEP, other than what other points it has, very important point is that it's taking you away from that rote learning. And it's actually introducing you to understand and learn, which I think even if you're studying anywhere across the globe is going to make a huge difference in a student's life. So that's very, very important, I guess.
So I think that's a lovely thought. And yes, you see, most of us are optimistic because that's how you should live your life with. There's no point worrying. And, the idea is NEP's challenge our thought, and what exactly this panel was. We started with the idea on Apaar. Today, your credits will be recognized. You went for an inter-school event, and if it's recognized, under some proper body, this is a credit point that you'll carry throughout the year. I remember my mother has my certificates in senior KG when I threw a rocket, and she was so proud of it. And we Gujaratis don't throw anything away. So you come to my home and you'll find treasure troves. But today, thanks to the Apaar, I will be able to store these properly. That's the whole idea. This is what DigiLocker is all about. And yes, we homeschoolers, there is always a program. See, NIOS is a board meant for homeschoolers. Not just that, there is edXL, which is opening up there. We have opportunities across. It's not limited. And this is what we say, sky is the limit. I am from Golden Sparrow. I always think of flying. That's what we would like to talk about. And on that note, with lovely points from a panelist, I think we are perfectly placed to close this session at 7 p.m. Thank you everybody for your time. Thank you so much, Pooja ma'am, Shiv sir, and Madhuri ma'am. It was pleasure talking to you, for the trust, for the time you gave. And I thank you for all the attendees. We'll put this on YouTube and we'll share the link with everybody again. Please keep in touch on LinkedIn with all the people, and you can post any question on the group with we are together. Once again, thank you and good night, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye.